Hi, everybody. I know it's a little bit early, but I'm just making sure that all of this is working. As out of the corner of my eye, I watched Jameis Winston just move the ball down the field at will one more time as the Cleveland Browns stumble uh, here in the first half of a nationally televised preseason football game. As it sits now, it's 27-10. How much longer it will be that way, I'm not sure. We have 52 seconds left, which would seem to be like an eternity for the Cleveland Browns defense. It's great to be back for a 13th year of this shit. And long before that, I was streaming football games illegally because I was just that kind of cow. Now I actually do a quasi-legitimate internet program that's been on the air for 13 years. And the Cleveland Browns are part of it. Ooh, boy, Jameis Winston. Could you imagine what he would be like if somebody actually put a little pressure on him? What a concept. Watching the first half of this football game, a number of things become apparent. Number one, and maybe I'll save this for when the gun goes off, and we can only hope that it's pointing at some of the members of the defensive line of the Cleveland Browns. So the Browns are going to get the ball back, and you never know. They might have one more big play left in them. They don't have any short plays or intermediate plays, but they appear to have the long ball down pat with Josh Gordon, who really is just that good. We're just waiting to see what might happen to him. Don't do that, son. Fair catch the football, for God's sakes. I know Corey Coleman wants to make a play, but when you're a rookie and you have to put up with Terrell Pryor's shit when you're a rookie, I suppose it's not the funnest thing in the world. As we sit right now, we're seeing that, look at that, for Mike Evans, 5 receptions for 115 yards in the first half, a man amongst boys. A lot like Josh Gordon. Same school. No, not really. It was A&M for Evans, wasn't it? He was part of the Manziel connection. And Josh Gordon was Baylor, along with Corey Coleman, who's short and from Baylor. We have 38 seconds left as I sit here watching this out of the corner of my eye as RG3, who's living in the shotgun. So far, Cam Irving has not snapped a ball over his head, which is really kind of a big major bonus for me. And here they are rushing him, and poor RG3 is going to get swamped. I think they should just run to the halftime before RG3 gets hurt. That's the 5th sack for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in the first half of this game. And I'll tell you, the only interesting formations the Browns offense even ran in this half, it was like the guys weren't sure how to run the plays. They're really behind the 8 ball in terms of everything being new. And you can see that players are thinking their way through things rather than reacting to them. The same thing we see every year, because every year it's a new roster for the Cleveland Browns. So now we're down to 31 seconds left on a 27-10 game, 2nd and 14. And again, once it goes to 2nd and 14, the Browns really don't have. You notice on 3rd and 15, we throw 3 and 4 yard passes. That's another thing that hasn't changed this year. We're still in game management mode. And it looks like now the Browns are just going to run the clock out, which is a smart thing to do. Now I can go ahead and start talking about some of the analysis of what I saw in the first half of the game. There's one presiding thing, and that's the defensive line that is non-existent for the Cleveland Browns. Anything else is just a light. I mean, you start there and you end there. The defensive line, by not being able to put any pressure on the quarterback, I know that we're thin in our defensive secondary, but the second touchdown of the game that was thrown to Sims, that was not Kirksey's fault. The Browns are not containing the quarterback to the outside. They let Jameis Winston buy time for himself, and when that happens, you're asking Kirksey to stay with a running back. It's just not going to happen. It's an unfortunate thing when there's no pressure on the quarterback, because it shows everybody up. It makes everybody look bad. And a lot of these situations, Jameis Winston is standing back there and literally there is nobody near him. I don't think we've laid a finger on him in the entire first half of this football game. And the necessity is to help out your secondary. You've got to get some pressure on the quarterback. Any decent quarterback is going to pick apart a secondary with the rules changes that are in effect for the league. Any decent one is going to do that. So there you have it. And I'm typing that I'm on the air now so that people will understand that I'm, you know, that's first and foremost what we're looking at. We're looking at a situation where there's just no pressure on the opposing quarterback. They've looked better at getting into the backfield on the run, but the problem is we do not have any athletes on the defensive line who are able to break free of their man. Ray Horton's attempted or now aborted blitz defense, it makes no difference. You can't blitz when you get no help from your defensive line, and you're just committing suicide by blitzing because you're going to get caught in a one-on-one situation with a guy like a Mike Evans, and it's going to be a touchdown ball. I don't know what the answer is for the Cleveland Browns. They need a complete overhaul of their defensive line, and it's obvious that that's going to be the predominant reason that they lose this season. You can come over and watch this. If you're watching this on YouTube, come on over to mooheadradio.com. We have a chat room there, and you can join the show, and you can make comments, and I respond in real time to your chat and your comments, and I'm more than happy to do that. We've got Lawyer Tillman in the chat room. Yeah, there's another All-State good hands person. General Dog believes it's going to be a 3-13 season with our offense looking decent, but we give up more points than we score. You know, it really is a sad circumstance for Cleveland fans to have to watch this. But that's the first and foremost thing, because if you can't get a team off the field, you're obviously going to give up a ton of points. I've seen a lot of missed tackles again, and this seems to be epidemic with the Cleveland Browns in the past several years. And that's right, Ziff. Ziffle's in the chat room. Nobody, maybe here in the chat room, somebody can tackle Ziff, but I don't know. The team really lacks the fortitude, and they just don't wrap up. And I've seen at least 5 whiffs in plays that seemed stopped. You know, it's pretty odd. The secondary is not strong to begin with, but they're going to be made to look worse. And when the quarterback has that much time. As far as the linebackers are concerned, a better job in plugging some of the holes on the running game, but they don't need a running game, not when the quarterback throws for 240 yards in the first half of a football game. It doesn't really matter. Big Lurker UK, good to see you with us here on the Moohead Radio halftime show. This is our dress rehearsal, and you know, we shall see. You know, speed seems okay, Amsterdam says, but, you know, no wrap up. And I don't know, the speed on the defensive line looks positively slow. And the cornerbacks are awful. Of course, you saw Justin Gilbert leave the field. He obviously had a concussion, as you know, he looked like there were dollar signs in his eyes. As far as the Browns offense is concerned, again, what I see is we have big play capability, but we have no short play and no intermediate play capability. And this is a real problem. We've got Josh Gordon going down the field, making big plays, but I still see no evidence of us having an intermediate passing game, getting that 12-yard slant down the middle of the field. I see none of that. I don't see that with Corey Coleman right now. I don't see it with Terrell Pryor, who's a big guy who should be giving us the middle of the field. I would have liked to have seen a little bit of Rashard Higgins. I'm sure we will in the second half of the game. As for me, hi, Chad, how you doing? You know, I really don't I don't know what the answer is to the Cleveland Browns. It looks like there's Josh Gordon and then there's the rest of the team. I don't want to see Terrell Pryor pissing and moaning at Corey Coleman. That doesn't do any good. And as far as RG3 is concerned, I think he's holding onto the ball too long in the pocket in some instances where he should just get rid of the ball and get rid of it. You know, I think that if you have a big man down the field, you can throw up in the air to him and he can go up and get it. And I think Josh Gordon is proving how great a receiver he can be when he's actually on the field. And Coleman hasn't had a chance if, you know, The running game at times looked like it started out doing a few things, but then we go to the pass immediately, have a sack, and then we were 2nd and 14 or 15, and then we can't make up the difference, and we're afraid to try on a 3rd and 13 to go down the field for fear of the interception. I'd say that RG3 looks You know, I'm not going to say that he looks terrible, and I'm not going to say he looks good. I'd say that he's athletic. I think on a few sacks that he put his head down and started to try to run out of the pocket, and he got nailed. I think he has to keep his eyes down the field and release the football, even if he throws it away, because you can see how bad negative yardage plays are for this team. I'm not even looking at the stats. But it's got to be really, really pathetic. I think Crowell was running hard in the first half of the game. I think that's fine. You know, overall 27-10 down in the first half. This is what you're going to see more of this year. I just don't see how the defense is going to keep teams out of the end zone. And I don't know. If I'm Hugh Jackson, I don't know what I do with this defensive line. I just don't know. General Dog saying Jameis Winston looks like a franchise quarterback in the making. Well, of course, you're not seeing him with any pressure on him. And nice to see Mr. Fee Wable in the chat room as well. The offensive line sucks, he says. Well, it's not as bad as the defensive line. Big Lurker UK saying RG has zero pass protection. I wouldn't say it's zero pass protection, but I would say that he has to have a better sense in the pocket as far as how long to hold on to the ball or when to leave the pocket and throw it away. You know, he is not a pocket passer. This is something they're trying to teach him. Cameron Irving still making some slightly high snaps, and I saw him just kind of standing around getting beat on one of the sacks. Pastor is not exactly my idea of an offensive lineman. So I know I'm not telling you the offensive line is particularly good. Yeah, and I agree. Kruger is playing patty cake on pass rush, missing edge tackles. He looks like he's just playing with his arms extended, not trying to get around people. And he doesn't look like the same guy that we brought in our first year. Maybe it's just playing with Cleveland for this long. Maybe he's lost all of his edge to play. And it looks like he's not trying to me too. And he would be the one legitimate pass rusher that we have. Danny Shelton is invisible except for going high-low on a guy and getting a flag. Danny Shelton is invisible. I mean, that's, you know, these draft picks that just don't pan out, it keeps adding and adding and adding. And, you know, I really don't know what to tell you except that the players are physically not strong enough. Yeah, his first year here, that's correct. Kruger was good with us. And then after that, it's just more or less, you know, he's cashing a paycheck. It doesn't look like he's really at all involved. And I say this about the whole team. They don't really look like they're very involved. But I think learning a new system every year and having to go through this every year is just very difficult. The team doesn't look natural in what they're doing. Everything is just thought out, and you just can't play football that way. The defensive secondary doesn't really make jumps and moves to the ball. They don't have a sense where the ball is coming from at what angle, and it's going to be a long season. What I can tell you is that Josh Gordon, it's really a shame that he has thrown away the first bits of his career the way he has, because the fact that he can come in with so little work and still do something like he's doing, it's really nothing short of amazing in my mind. So if you're a baseball fan, the Royals are going to win again. They're ahead 6-2 in the 8th inning against the Red Sox. They're going to gain ground potentially on the Cleveland Indians. The Tigers were winning the last time I checked as well, and I'm going over to look at that right now because I can only watch one thing at a time. Let's take a look. The Tigers are on the bottom of the 8th, ahead 4-2, and our beloved Cleveland Indians are ahead in the top of the 6th, 3-0, you know, that at least is good news that we're getting some strong starting pitching for a change against a big offensive juggernaut team like the Rangers. That's good news. Corey Kluber, who was our shutdown pitcher, is pitching well. His pitch count, though, is up to 95 in the 6th inning, so we're gonna rely on the back end of that bullpen to try to get things done. As far as the Indians are concerned, nothing prolific power-wise. Napoli 2 out of 3 for that game. Ramirez with a run driven in, Almonte with a run driven in, and Kipnis with a run batted in as well. Indians up 3-0 in the 6th inning. Well, I wish I had more to tell you about this particular half of football, but probably the less said, the better. I appreciate everybody jumping in and joining me on the halftime show. This is a dress rehearsal. I hope that the broadcast is doing okay. Any comments in the chat room? I know it's not real high resolution. I have a very, very small amount of bandwidth that I'm playing with here in the mountains. Before I go, if I could have a comment in the chat room about the quality of the video and the audio, that would be very helpful to me, so I can see at some point if I can make some improvements, even though the video quality is going to be very difficult just because of the lack of bandwidth. We do have a Monday, Wednesday, Friday shows. If is the way I'm doing Moohead Radio live at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. We did a show, Michelle and I, today, and we do them every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. The video and audio is good enough, and I think that's probably about as well put as we could put it. It's good enough. It's not very good, but it's good enough. You're all very welcome. I enjoy doing these shows, and it's fun to see the growth or the opposite of that for the team. Thanks a lot for tuning in. This will be up as an archive as well on the site so that people have an opportunity to watch this. So thanks a lot for tuning in. I appreciate it. And I'll see you again on Monday on Moohead Radio, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Until then, enjoy the second half, and hasta la vista, Pasture Heads. Good night.